Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Welcome to the show today. Let me adjust that camera angle just a little bit. It cut the top of my head off. For those people that believe in Jeff Mans don't, he is not taller than me. He says he is. He's not. We were talking about yesterday. I'm, what am I, 4 years old? 4 years older than him, I think. Maybe by the time I'm 70, he'll have caught me because I'll be shrinking as I get older. Right now, I'm taller. Don't let him tell you different. The hair doesn't count, Jeff. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Welcome to the show here, Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FG. We're here every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let's get that let's get that chair. There we go. We're here Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, rocking and rolling here. The free offering from FantasyGuru.com. We've got radio shows, we've got live streams, we've got podcasts, we've got articles, we've got Discord rooms. We got a lot of stuff. We got a great deal, too, that I'm about ready to share. About ready to drop that on you here in a couple of minutes. But this is our free offering. So hopefully you like what you hear, see, follow, learn, all that kind of stuff here. We'd love to have you become part of the largest active community in fantasy sports over at FantasyGuru.com. So consider signing up. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner or send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. You can follow me on social medias at The Ray Flowers. I don't answer a lot of questions anymore on social media. I'm pretty much exclusively in Discord, but every once in a while I'll answer a question on social media. But obviously, if you ask a question in Discord, you'll get an answer. Have some patience. We got 28,000 people asking questions. It's a lot. We'll get there eventually. But hopefully you enjoyed the football product the first couple of weeks. And hopefully you're enjoying this show here today. What are we talking about today? Well, let's throw it up on the screen. It is a Thursday, so we'll talk to Tyler Beucher in about 25 minutes. We'll talk to Tyler about Thursday night football between Miami and Buffalo. Buffalo figures to run roughshod all over Miami, obviously, in this game. We'll talk a little bit about that game. We'll also go through some of the players that, where are we at with Lad McConkey? What about Brian Thomas? Is Christian Kirk going to fix things for C.J. Stroud in the offense with the Texans? These are some of the things we'll discuss with Tyler Beucher here in about 25 minutes on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, this week, and next week, too, one more week. We'll be talking baseball the first half of the show, football the second half of the show. So I'll spend the next 25 minutes talking baseball. A bunch of names there on the screen. You can see that we're going to talk about. If you're wondering what I'm saying, see on the screen, 3 places you can watch the show live. You can always watch the show on demand at any of those 3 places. If you're watching in those 3 spots, you can leave comments and ask questions that we can talk about during the show. Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, Twitter X @FantasyGuru site, and then YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. Any of those 3 places, leave comments, questions we'll address throughout the show. You can always go to FantasyGuru.com, find the toolbar at the top of the page, click the Elite Plus tab, and find all the shows that we have, all the Armando show, Justin show, Jeff show, this show. And then you can always type in Fantasy Sports Daily to wherever you get your podcast from. Before we dive into baseball, it's time, folks. And I'm going to throw it up on the screen. And we got a BOGO here. Buy one, get one. Yeah, buddy. Right now over at FantasyGuru.com, if you didn't get signed up for DFS and wagering, now is the time. Why? Because if you get DFS and wagering, we'll give you one for free. It's 50% off. You buy the DFS package for the rest of the season for fantasy football, you get the wagering package. You buy the wagering package, you get the DFS package. BOGO, baby! 2 for 1. Okay, all you do, you only miss 2 weeks. So this is a massive discount. If you've already signed up for one of the 2 products, send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com to see what we can do for you. I'm sure there's something that can be worked out. So if you have either the DFS or the wagering package, send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. Say I'd like to add the other package. For those of you that haven't signed up yet, 2 for 1. DFS and wagerings, 1 package now. Boom. And by the way, we're Jeff Mans and I were talking about this yesterday. The cost of our DFS and wagering is about half of what the industry standard is. We got to raise our prices, but we didn't this year, and now we're actually dropping them too. So for those of you interested, those of you want another challenge, those of you looking to improve on your DFS game, or maybe find some, Tyler Beucher will be on. I'll give a free bet out today to get a little more involved in the wagering aspect of things. Get signed up over at FantasyGuru.com. Buy one, get one free. DFS and wagering. Boom. Pretty big. All right. Let's talk some baseball. Boom. Bryce Eldridge. Bryce Eldridge just started out slow. 0 for 3, 0 for 3, so he's 0 for 6 in 2 games. He hit a home run. He's 0 for 6. He didn't hit a home run in either one of the 2 games, though he had a 407-foot fly ball in one game that would have been a home run in 23 other parks. He had a 404-foot fly ball that would have been a home run in 12 other parks. So Eldridge easily could have 2 home runs right now in 2 games. He's got 0. He's 0 for 6. And at the end of the day, we only care about the results. But, digging a little bit deeper here, Eldridge, again, has power to multiple baseballs. We talked about him earlier this week. Bryce Eldridge is one of the best power-hitting youngsters in all of baseball. He's still 20 years old. He's 6'7", 240 pounds, 75-80 on that 20-80 scale of power. We've seen the power thus far. It just hasn't ended up with a home run yet. But something to think about if you're looking for that boost in power. He's driving the baseball. Just got to get it out over the deep fences there in San Francisco. Miguel Vargas went 0 for 4. He's 0 for 9 against the Orioles in this series. And I wanted to check back in here because, Vargas had been somebody that came with a really nice pedigree and did not perform with the Dodgers, right? So he's sent to the White Sox. All right, here we go. He's going to get a chance to play every day. He's played every day. He's got 530 plate appearances. It's one season. All right, we're not saying that the die is cast. He doesn't even turn 26 until November, right? So he still could. But rough. He'll qualify at first base and third base next year, 60 spots at both. So he's a decent only addition next year. Mixed league, just haven't seen enough. Hitting 220, 300 on base percentage, 391 slugging. So Vargas not helping now. He's in a little bit of a cold streak. Not really doing much over the course of the season. Disappointing. Still some time for him to become a stable major league regular, but we just haven't seen it yet with Miguel Vargas. Next up, Matt Olson. And, it's really interesting how we put a lot of stock in this. And let's be honest about this. Guy hits 29 home runs. That's a good season. He hits 30 home runs. You look at him different. 96 RBIs, good season. 97 RBIs, good season. 100 RBIs, really good season, right? That's just how we look at it. Matt Olson homered yesterday. Matt Olson has had 14 hits in 28 at-bats the last 6 games. He's batting .500 the last 6 games. Oh, by the way, the last 6 games, he's got 5 home runs and 11 RBIs. He is murdering it right now. And you look at the numbers, he's up 28 home runs and 92 RBIs. Last year, he fell just short, 29 home runs, 98 RBIs. Remember that each of the previous 3 seasons, he had gone 30-100. He'd actually gone 30-90 if you take out COVID because, we only played 60 games. Each of the previous 4 seasons, he'd gone 30-90. Last year, he went 29-98. This year, he's at 28-92. So is he going to get 30-100? Still going to need a couple home runs, 8 RBIs. That's a big week. But with the way he's hitting right now, I'm not going to put it past him. And note that he also has an 869 OPS. This hot week has put Matt Olson's OPS above his career mark of 861. So while slightly disappointing, you could say, for the majority of the season here, last month, last couple weeks in particular, Olson has been killing it, and all of a sudden, everything looks good. He's got a chance to go 30, 100, 100. Not something you would have said about him 3 months ago. Remember, some of these guys, they play every day. Matt Olson plays every day. Got to give him time. Let it breathe. Matt Olson giving it a show here. Nolan Schanuel began his rehab assignment last night at AAA. He's coming back from the wrist issue. Why does this matter? Because he's a usable piece. The expectation is that, sometime this weekend, maybe, certainly by next week, he'll be back for the Angels. The Angels have no reason not to play him every day down the stretch here. Schanuel, let's pull up his numbers real quickly. He's been fine. I think that Schanuel came into the bigs with a reputation of being able to get on base. I've jokingly said he's Luis Arias, even though he's 3 inches taller and weighs 35 more pounds. Doesn't look like him at all, but the game is very similar. He's batting .266, got a .355 on base percentage. Both numbers slightly better than last year. Both numbers decent, right? Especially the on base percentage. Slugging percentage last year was .360. This year it's .380. And so there was a lot of talk about him wanting to drive the baseball more. At the end of the day, he hit 13 home runs last year. He's got 10 this year. So pretty similar results there. You look at the launch angle, it's up 3%. X velocity's up a little bit. Hard hit rate's up a little bit. Like, there is some improvement here, but those numbers are still not good. And it still takes a little bit of dreaming to get him to 20 home runs. And first basemen that don't hit 20 home runs, you got to be in leagues like me that are 15 deep to be using a guy like that. Okay. Dylan Beavers. We've talked about Dylan Beavers here on the show. 1 for 3 last night, 2 home runs, walk, stole a base. And, this is, again, Beavers he's doing some things. And, this is an organization in the Orioles that really need to make some decisions this offseason because this year was a mess. We all know it. Felix Bautista, he's out next year. They have all these youngsters that didn't, perform. They finally called up Samuel Paseo. He hasn't done much. And here's Dylan Beavers. He's hitting 200 the last week. He's hitting 220 the last 2 weeks. Not doing a lot of things. Still has 7 RBIs in 11 games. Still has a couple home runs and a run scored. But as we talked about, I think it was earlier this week, maybe, Dylan Beavers has done an excellent job at taking a walk. His walk rate is 20%. He's got a 423 on base percentage. The mark was 420 at the minor league level this year at AAA. So, we're talking about a guy who's, how many games is that? As I zip past it. So a guy that has played 125 games at AAA in the big leagues. He's got a 420 on base percentage this year. That's really doing some things. Really doing some things. And note, he's hitting second here. He's hit second in 2 of the last 5 games. He's moved up in the order a little bit. He's looking to have a strong finish down the stretch here, Dylan Beavers. Parker Meadows, another guy that, we've talked about forever. I've got both Beavers and Meadows, by the way, on my Dynasty League team. So it's nice to see him finally starting to hit because I can't keep Yordan Alvarez in the lineup. But Parker Meadows had 2 hits yesterday. He's now 12 for 35 since he's returned from another injury here. He's playing against righties, not playing against lefties. That's kind of the MO here. But as we know, Meadows is a very solid defensive player. He's got power. He's got speed. Over those 10 games, 6 runs scored, 6 RBIs. He's hit a couple home runs, batting .340 with a .980 OPS. Hasn't stolen a base. A little disappointing. But if he just stays healthy, he's a solid offensive player. Right now, he's in a very nice groove. And for those people looking to make a move here down the stretch, looking to do something a little bit, to help you out in the outfield here the last 10 days of the year, Parker Meadows could be on the waiver wire. According to RT Sports, he's on 5% of teams. 5%. Take a look for Parker Meadows. He's rocking and rolling right now. Isaac Paredes, who we knew was going to miss time with the hamstring injury. In fact, we thought he probably missed the rest of the regular season. Really positive news here with all the uncertainty with, what's going on with Yordan Alvarez and all that kind of stuff. Good news. Joe Espada, the manager of the Astros, basically said that Isaac Paredes is doing so well that in the next day or two, they're going to do some serious evaluation, and it's possible. Excuse me. It's possible that Paredes is back this weekend for the Astros. Now, I don't know. I have Paredes in the Dynasty League too. I think I have him in one other league. I don't know what's fair to expect from him down the stretch. They obviously want to, get him in the lineup, get him right, all that kind of stuff. They need a big bat in the middle of the lineup with the loss of Yordan Alvarez. Obviously, Jose Altuve has been in and out of the lineup too. He's missed a ton of time, almost 2 months here with the hamstring injury. So it's really unclear. This is really happening fast, which normally doesn't happen. But we'll continue to monitor this story with Isaac Paredes. Again, really tough for me to give the full-throated, hey, go grab him if he's on the waiver wire because he was dropped when the injury happened. You got to get him. Don't know what the return looks like, but it could be as early this weekend, which is really surprising, much faster than we had anticipated. Okay. Tyler Wells had the White Sox to 1 run in 6 innings. Tyler Wells is somebody that we've talked about previously. I think I'm going to do a Rays Ramblings piece today over at fantasyguru.com, and I'm going to try to focus on pitching. I think I'm going to go through don't hold me to this, but I think I'm going to go through all the pitching matchups for the next, 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and kind of give a thumbs up, thumbs down kind of thing. So we'll see. That's kind of my plan. We'll see if I get into it. If it's not tenable and I have to switch it up, that's kind of my plan right now. Wells obviously won't pitch over the next 4 days, but his next time out is against the Pirates. And Wells, somebody that we've discussed, I believe we discussed him Friday last week? Recently, anyway. Wells is a very solid major league pitcher who doesn't miss bats, who mixes and matches, and who has to have things kind of go right for him to have success, right? The good news for him is that he's having the success, and he's keeping the ball in the park, and he's getting outs. And that's, 1 walk over 17 innings is uber impressive. 17 innings and 3 starts, coming back from surgery, super impressive. And now he's got a matchup with the Pirates. So, Tyler Wells, you're streaming. I know a lot of you are. I know a lot of you are still playing fantasy playoffs, all that kind of stuff. Tyler Wells, somebody to add off the waiver wire. Justin Verlander shut out the Diamondbacks for 7 innings. Now, Brandon Pfaadt shut out the Giants for 9 innings, so Verlander didn't get a victory. But this has gotten really interesting with Verlander because Verlander, for the majority of this season, was honestly just a shell of his former self. And that's not saying too much. He's a guy, he's 42 years old. He's going to the Hall of Fame, all that kind of stuff. But all of a sudden here, late in the year, which is not expected, you don't expect him to get better, right? He got bombed by the Padres back in August. 7 runs and 4 1/3 innings. Since then, he's made 5 starts for the Giants. Here are his run totals allowed. 2, 0, 0, 1, 0. He's given up 3 runs in 5 starts. All 5 of the starts, at least 5 innings pitched. 4 of the 5 have been 6 or more innings. So he's gotten 4 quality starts in 5 outings. I mean, this is, he still doesn't have a strikeout an inning. He still has, 28 strikeouts, 12 walks. That's not great. But one of the big keys is he just hasn't given up the big fly. He's given up only 1 home run. He's going to give up a lot of fly balls. Home runs are going to be part of his game. They have forever. In the old days, he used to be able to wipe them out with the strikeout. He can't do that as readily as he used to. But San Francisco is a good place to pitch for a fly ball pitcher. Verlander is in a nice groove. And if they stay on the schedule they're currently on, Verlander could make 2 starts next week. And for those of you still playing and still looking at the race next week, Verlander is set to face the Cardinals and then potentially the Rockies. Both of those starts in San Francisco. So Verlander absolutely should be on your radar. Depending upon where the Giants are at, and we're going to see this happen to a lot of teams next week. Depending upon where the Giants are at, if they have a chance to still make the playoffs or not, like Verlander may not make that final start, right? If they're going for something, he does. If they're not, so tough to feel great about that. But right now, he's set up to face 2 guys next week, the Cardinals and the Rockies, and that's looking pretty good. Matthew Boyd gave up 4 runs in 3 innings against the Pirates. He is set to face the Mets in his next outing. Boyd is somebody that we've discussed many times. Boyd has been terrific this year. Terrific. Obviously, the 34-year-old is better than anyone could have possibly expected, even the pro Boyd people. He's been fantastic. It's not been so great of late, and this is something that we discussed a lot in the overall numbers, again, are terrific. But this is something we discussed a lot with players is even if they're able to stay healthy, how do they perform when those workloads get really elevated? And I don't know if that's exactly what we're dealing with Boyd, right? I can't say that for sure. But what I can tell you is that over his last 6 starts, he's given up 23 runs, and his ERA is 6.5. And in all but one of those 6 starts, he's allowed 4 runs or more. So he's given up at least 4 runs every time he's out there. He's given up a home run in 5 of those 6 outings. And again, his ERA is 6.5. His xFIP is 5.5. A little bit better, still terrible number. So Boyd limping to the finish line. If Boyd is able to make that final start against the Mets, I just can't recommend him at the moment. And again, who knows, right? But I can't recommend him at the moment, given what we have seen here of late. The Red Sox have Payton Tolle. He's going to pitch in relief the rest of the way. So those of you that added him and hoped you'd get, you're going to get some bulk innings is most likely the key here. Kyle Harrison, the former Giant, part of the Rafael Devers trade, is going to be put into the rotation for the Red Sox, and he's going to face the Rays on the weekend. We talked so much about Kyle Harrison the last couple of years. To this point of his big league career, he's been a disappointment. His stuff has backed up a little bit from where it was when he was drafted. He was looked at by most people as like a 2 or 3 big league starter, right? Now he's more of a 4 or 5 big league starter. That's kind of the scouting community's assessment. So things have definitely pulled back for him. He's gone past 100 innings this season. I don't think he's never thrown 100 innings before. So we have to worry a little bit about, again, not just where the workload is at and what do the Red Sox do. Do they limit him to 72 pitches or something like that? Also the performance. But right now, he's set to enter that rotation over the weekend against the Rays. Again, another one of these scenarios where you just never know when he's going to what's going to show up, what the stuff's going to look like. He has not missed bats at a level that was expected. He was expected to be well above a strikeout an inning guy. That was what the profile was forever. Haven't seen that guy. So I'd be very reluctant to use him this weekend against the Rays. So there's that. Trey Yesavage, the youngster of the Blue Jays who came up, pitched 5 innings, had 9 strikeouts, looked great. Dominant strikeout numbers. Everyone's getting excited about him. He gave up 1 run on Monday in his debut against the Rays. Blue Jays manager John Schneider said the following: "Like, what are you going to do, Yesavage here? What's the quote? He'll be pitching in Kansas City. We just don't know if it's going to be starting or coming out of the bullpen." Unquote. Helpful. So he's going to pitch this weekend. In theory, as we all are aware, pitching behind an opener is slightly better. If you're going to throw 5 innings as a starting pitcher or 5 innings as a reliever, it's better to throw it as a reliever. You not only miss the first 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of guys in the lineup, which helps. You also don't have to go 5 innings. You can go 4 and a third innings, get a victory, right? So it's not the worst thing in the world if a guy's going to relieve and be a bulk reliever if they're going to let him throw 4+ innings. With the uncertainty of how it's going to look, I mean, depends on your, does your league count innings pitched? Does your league count quality starts? Trey Yesavage, though, is going to pitch against the Royals this weekend. The Royals are listing a little bit here. You need some strikeouts. He's definitely a direction that you can turn, and we just don't know what role he's going to fill. Even the manager didn't let us know, which is kind of odd. Edward Cabrera, who's got the elbow issue. He threw 50 pitches yesterday at Coors Field and reportedly felt good. Everyone walked away from that effort and said, hey, we like this. Doesn't mean he's going to pitch in the final week. There's really nothing, obviously, to be gained here other than some peace of mind. Maybe he'll want to pitch so that he can say, all right, I threw an inning here, I threw 3, 4 innings here, and my arm's okay. If he does make the start, Cabrera is not a lock to throw 90 pitches or go 5 innings, right? He could just go out there and throw 3 innings. So, technically, he's probably going to get back out there next week. Matt Quintaro, the manager of the Royals, said that Ryan Bergeert, who we've talked about on this show repeatedly, is going to the injured list with right form tightness. His season is over. Bergeert has been pretty effective in those 8 starts that he's made for the Royals. Again, we've talked about him a lot. Regular season is done. So if you have him, you're dropping him, making a move. Tip of the cap, because he did some decent work for us, but he's down the rest of the way. Brandon Woodruff. I saw a comment about Brandon Woodruff here in the chat room earlier. 2 hits, 1 run, 9 strikeouts, didn't walk a batter in 5 innings against the Angels. I mean, this is great work. Now, the problem with Woodruff, I think I saw that he threw, what was it? 69 pitches? Let's pull him up here. Let's look at the old pitch count. You have to go to different websites. Everyone's, you got to go one site for this thing, one site for this other thing. Let's see here. The pitch count. Yeah, okay. So he threw 90. These are his last 4 starts. 97 pitches, 89 pitches, 85 pitches. Last night was 69 pitches. No walks, 9 strikeouts through 5 innings, and they pulled them. Obviously, they're looking toward the postseason here. Pitching great, dominating the Angels. No reason to not let him throw another inning other than, again, they're looking ahead, right? So right now he is scheduled to make another start. We'll see what that looks like. He's scheduled to face the Padres. But again, he threw 69 pitches last night. So it's not always easy to throw 69 pitches and get through 5 innings. We see guys do it all the time, but it is something to think about with Woodruff. So fingers crossed if he does make that start next week, that he's able to go a little bit deeper into the game to give himself a chance for a victory. Cole Ragans, who returned from the injured list, is healthy. And that's the real big takeaway for the Royals. They get him back. They lose Bergeert. They allowed 1 hit, 2 runs, couple of walks, 4 strikeouts over 3 2/3 innings. Wonky, some good pitches, some bad pitches, some wonkiness. This is his first start, or he's only made 1 start since the middle of May. Like, it's been a long time since we've seen him back out on the field. He's set up to face the Angels in that next outing. Did he get enough workload to comfortably say he's going to throw 5 innings next time out? No. Something to keep in mind, though. Tough to sit Cole Ragans against the Angels. I get that. Just don't know if he's going to go deep enough in the game. And again, that first effort was pretty wonky. Wasn't ideal. Finally, the Phillies will go Taijuan Walker and Walker Buehler on Friday against the Diamondbacks. So they're piggybacking these guys. We'll probably see a lot of teams do this down the stretch. So we're thinking 3 to 4 innings from Walker, 3 to 4 innings for Buehler, and then turn it over to the bullpen. That's probably the plan for the Phillies, which means both Walker and Buehler in that matchup with the Diamondbacks. In a couple of minutes, we'll talk to Tyler Beucher of fantasyguru.com. We got some questions here, so what the hell? Let's address some of these. Lorenzo T, before we talk some football with Tyler, Pierce is the last player on my bench. I don't know, Lorenzo, if you're still there, is that Damian Pierce or Antonio Pierce? First names matter. I say people all the time, please use first names. And also do me a favor, don't use nicknames. I'm answering questions at 7:15 in the morning. Like someone was calling Daniel Jones Indiana Jones. Just use the player's name. Let's not be cute. Use the player's name. So I don't know, Lorenzo. Maybe you can let me know here as I'm answering this question. Daniels is carrying a questionable tag. He's got that knee issue. It is unclear right now if he's going to play. Daniels will reportedly practice on Friday, and then we'll make a determination. Yesterday, Brock Purdy returned to practice. It's sounding like Brock Purdy is likely to be the number 2 quarterback this week for the Niners, so Mac Jones probably makes a start. I have no idea what any of these numbers in parentheses are either, Lorenzo, so I'm okay. Who do we add this week? Out of these names, Rodgers, Darnold, Wentz, Penix, Geno Smith, Mac Jones, Bryce Young, I'm adding Michael Penix. I personally added Michael Penix in the FSGA league. I have Jaden Daniels. Penix is the guy I went with it going against the Panthers. So that's the direction I'm going. That means that's probably the direction you'll want to go. We'll either be right together or wrong together. Tony T says, good morning. Good morning, Tony. Robin T says, trade Travis Etienne and Michael Pittman for Drake London and Trey Benson. I own Connor. I also have Swift. Etienne or Benson, obviously you want Etienne. Benson is a primo elite handcuff, though, for Connor, because if Connor goes down, I truly believe Benson's touching the ball 17 times a week, and you're starting him, setting him, forgetting him in the lineup every single week. So he is somebody that if you had Connor, you must get Benson. We talked about this. I got Benson and Connor. In one league I got Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, and I picked those 4 guys in a row, right? Jones is down. I still have Mason. I have both guys from the Cardinals. Pittman is an option as long as Daniel Jones is being effective. He's also a better, obviously, play, Pittman is, than if they do make a pivot to Anthony Richardson. Pittman is usable. Drake London, last time out, Drake London, I don't know how much of it was the shoulder or just a one-off, but it was the first time in 4 starts with Penix that London didn't have 13 or more targets. I'm doing this deal. I'm getting London and Benson. So hopefully that makes sense and works out for you, Robin, there. Hopefully that's a trade that will take you to the moon. Brandon G said, would you trade AJ Brown? Again, please use full names. AJ Brown and Tyrone Tracy, who cares, for Swift, Monty, and Tet. Okay, so we're trading AJ Brown and Tracy for Swift. We'd rather have Swift and Tet McMillan. Swift destroys Tracy. Tracy's now the number 2 guy with the Giants anyway. He's gonna split the backfield. Scattaboo is gonna be the guy getting most of the carries. Tracy will see some work and third downs and that kind of thing. I don't want to be invested. We were joking about this yesterday. I don't want to be invested with the Giants offense. So Swift dominates Tracy. McMillan is not AJ Brown, but he's good. And he's going to get a lot of volume in it. They can't continue to throw the ball 10 times to Hunter Renfrow. That's ridiculous. So yeah, I do that deal. Get Swift and Ted McMillan. Colby says, should I trade away Breece Hall for Chase Brown? Why are we trading running back 1s for running back 1? That's always my question. I'm a Breece Hall guy, so I'm going to say keep Breece Hall. The Chase Brown side of things, Chase Brown is the only back with the Bengals through 2 weeks that has a carry. That's it. Now, it's not like Braylon Allen's gotten super work in the offense with the Jets either. And obviously the move from Fields to Taylor this weekend does put a little bit of a damper on the week 3 outlook, just a little. Taylor's not much different than Fields. They did a good job getting similar-ish quarterbacks there. But I'm going Breece Hall. But again, this is an apples for apples thing. It's a personal preference. If you wanted to make the trade, it's not wrong. I just wouldn't do it. All right, we'll keep going with those questions. And remember, 3 places you can leave a question or comment. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite, and then Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. It is halfway through the show here, and every Thursday, if I know what day it is, halfway through the show, we visit with Tyler Beucher. You can find Tyler over at FantasyGuru.com. He's often on the live stream Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. He hosts the DFS live stream on Friday nights. He's in Discord answering questions. He's on the website writing articles. And he visits with us every Thursday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. So here is Tyler Beucher of FantasyGuru.com. Tyler, let's make it bigger. There we go. How you doing?
Doing great this week, Ray. Excited to chat some Thursday Night Football and hopefully help these guys win some props. I owe you guys a winner after going 0-2 these last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Thursday Night Football has been my Achilles heel. I'm 7-0 on Monday Night Football props.
Wow.
So we are waiting for some variance to swing over in Thursday's direction. Hopefully it starts right now.
And remember, if you missed this earlier, we do have a special that just started over at FantasyGuru.com. Buy one, get one free. If you buy the DFS, you get the wagering for free. If you buy the wagering, you get the DFS for free. So to get all of the coverage that Tyler gives on DFS and wagering, sign up right now. Click the support, the sign up tab at the top of the page at FantasyGuru.com. Send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. 2 for 1. Phenomenal deal. I thought we'd talk a little bit about some players and kind of go through some things here, Tyler, kind of some news and notes items, some guys that are struggling a little bit compared to expectations before we talk Thursday night football. Let's start out with Ladd McConkey. He's got the biceps issue. He didn't practice yesterday. I don't think anyone's concerned about his availability this weekend. There were a lot of people that were drafting him as a wide receiver 1. I think it was smarter to have taken him as a low-end wide receiver 2. Regardless on that call that was made a month ago, we now have Keenan Allen in the house. And Keenan Allen actually leads the Chargers through 2 weeks in targets, which is a problem. It's also a problem that Quentin Johnson has as many targets as Ladd McConkey. Long term, McConkey's still catching 5 passes a week, so it's not panic time or anything like that. But where are we at with Ladd McConkey? Because that addition of Keenan Allen looks like it's really going to eat into his workload.
I think that concern's offset by the Chargers being among the league's top heaviest passing offenses right now, something we did not anticipate entering the season, thinking that Greg Roman, Jim Harbaugh, come on, guys, this is going to be a run-heavy offense. No, we're seeing them actually lean on their best player, Justin Herbert, who Harbaugh said maybe right before the season that he had MVP caliber aspirations for him. He wanted him to end up being a Hall of Fame quarterback by the time he was done with his career. So there's a lot of responsibility and expectations thrown on Herbert this year, and he's living up to the billing. Dissected the Chiefs really well, destroyed the Raiders this past weekend. I'm really excited about the Chargers as a whole, where I'm okay that we've got so many options here because they're just passing so frequently. He's keeping all three afloat. And what's great about what Herbert's doing is he's not throwing to the tight ends. He's not throwing to the running backs. It's really these 3 guys. It's super consolidated. So even if McConkey's still flirting with 5 to 7 receptions, he's still getting what he got last year, basically. So I'm on board, man. I think people that got him at the middle of round 2 kind of got bailed out because nobody really expected the Chargers to be a top 5 passing attack. But yowza, it's awesome.
Quentin Johnson, is he a thing long term?
I've loved jumping on him.
He's been there, but he's still even the touchdown, that 6-yard touchdown catch, it was a little use your hands, bro. What do you think?
Yeah, it's been really easy to dunk on him for multiple years now. And I still think a lot of the flaws, catching namely, is still a concern. But the volume is fantastic. The Chargers, in my eyes, are still going to be a fantastic scoring offense. So the touchdown potential for a guy like him is going to remain. And Herbert's not a guy that will just dink and dunk all game. He'll attack vertically. He's aggressive, which makes his interception rate over his career. He has the second lowest career interception rate among all passers with 2,000 plus passing attempts in their career. The only player better than him, Aaron Rodgers. So Herbert's off to a fantastic start in terms of protecting the ball, but he's methodical and I guess he chooses his spots really well when to attack vertically. And QJ has been that guy for these first 2 opening weeks. I don't expect that to change. I'm flexing him, which feels weird to say. I'm okay flexing him.
I think a lot of people too. They forget that Herbert was Rookie of the Year, and then he threw for 5,000 yards and 38 touchdowns. I got him in the dynasty league I was in this year, in the 11th round. It's guys, okay, I had already had Patrick Mahomes. I'm just taking him. I can't let this it's come on. He's terrific, and he's running. He's I love Justin Herbert. Okay, so it doesn't sound like you're really concerned about Ladd McConkey. So let's compare him to Brian Thomas. Are you concerned with Brian Thomas? Because I don't know if it's a lack of interest, but there's a disconnect, it seems like, with him and Trevor Lawrence. A lot of the production, and Jeff Mans has talked about this frequently, a lot of the production last year for Brian Thomas was actually with Mac Jones. Who are you more concerned about, Ladd or Brian Thomas? Both these guys, linchpins of fantasy squads. Ladd's produced. Brian Thomas,
Yeah, we've got red flashing lights here. The sirens are going off right now with panic mode for Brian Thomas Jr. He's caught 5 of 19 targets to date, a lot of alligator arms, a lot of quote-unquote business decisions of not getting run over into some hospital balls thrown by Lawrence. That said, Trevor Lawrence is top 6 in catchable throw rate. So the fault really lies in Brian Thomas Jr. The week 3 matchup here against Houston, we're likely to see Derek Stingley on him, and shadow coverage doesn't exactly scream a get right spot on paper, but there's a reason why I faded Brian Thomas Jr. personally, and this was not one of the reasons. Him alligator arming was not one. So he's getting the volume, which is tough to shy away from, but I don't know how you project him for a top 12 week here. I think you got to view him more as a wide receiver 2/3, where we're just hoping for the rebound. And I just don't think it comes this week.
So if it is another rough week,
Yeah.
4 catches for 37 yards, whatever. Is he someone you're targeting then next week? Like long term, are we still thinking this guy's top 20, potential top 10 wide receiver, or have you seen enough concerning issues here the first couple of weeks that maybe not?
I think it's a wait and see kind of thing where, like alligator arms and fear of not going over the middle and a fear of getting hit is something you can get over. And hopefully it's just something that we've just seen on a small sample that's unfortunately just been amplified by every news and media broadcast.
Right. Tyler Beucher of fantasyguru.com joins us every Thursday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Let's talk Houston Texans. Noel, Higgins, Collins, Hutchinson, Christian Kirk. Okay. He's not going to fix the offense. Okay. He's likely to play this weekend, according to the early reports here. He's missed the first couple of games. What does the receiving core look like here? And is this as simple as saying this offensive line's got to be better or this ain't going to work? Or is something else going on here with CJ Stroud in the passing attack?
Yeah, the line is in shambles right now. They are currently 28th in pressure rate allowed. They're just giving up so much pressure to Stroud where he's got to get rid of the ball quickly. He's quarterback 29 in fantasy points per game, averaging just 12.4 points. And he's also 25th in completion percentage over expectation. He's just not throwing the ball very well either. I think getting a slot guy like Kirk will really, really help this offense. We saw last year with Diggs in the slot that he was able to be a lot more productive and stay on time and on down in terms of keeping the offense on the field and converting third downs and just keeping the offense matriculating the ball down the field. The question is, does a player like Kirk, who's come off multiple injuries, get eased back into action and join this murky group of a bunch of guys running 30% of the routes? Right. It's been really frustrating for everybody not named Nico Collins. Heck, we can even throw Nico in that conversation too. It's just been really tough for the Texans passing attack to get going. I envision the rush attack taking a massive step backwards and struggling there, but the line struggles have carried over to the pass game too. I will note the matchup for Kirk is fantastic. They're playing up against a Jaguars defense who's got a brand new defensive coordinator. So last year we were attacking the Jaguars left and right. They were bottom dwelling in almost every passing stat. They were a weekly DFS punching bag essentially for us. But they added a new defensive coordinator, Anthony Campanelli from the Green Bay Packers, who under Jeff Hafley last year, Hafley implemented a very zone-heavy defense, and he turned that defense around over the course of the season. They went from being 26th in pass DVOA defense all the way up to a top 10 ranking, and we're seeing a lot of those principles and scheme tendencies carry over into Jacksonville, where they are currently number 6 in highest rate of zone coverage, number 4 in highest rate of too high coverage. So that's 2 safeties over the top. They've turned into a bend not break offense, as we saw against the Bengals. It was very long, drawn out drives. And they're number 5 in lowest EPA per pass. They're number 6 in lowest completion percentage over expectation because of it. So it's really panned out pretty well so far. But it's also come against Bryce Young and it's coming against Jake Browning. So take that with a grain of salt for now. But the too high thing is here to stay, and that opens up paths to the slot receiver being a very productive play. So I do think if Kirk is healthy and he's not on a limited snap count or anything, he could be a viable flex play here as we enter week 3.
Tyler Beucher, fantasyguru.com. I didn't recommend waiting on quarterbacks. I used to recommend waiting on quarterbacks. Didn't recommend that this year. I think that both CJ Stroud and Michael Penix really should have been drafted as QB2s. Maybe they were drafted as QB1s, depending upon how people build their teams. You just talked about Stroud. Talk about Stroud and Penix here. If you had to choose one of these two guys, who would it be the rest of the way? And you kind of broke down the situation with the Texans. Break down the situation with the Falcons passing attack.
Yeah, they're just not passing often, and they haven't had to. This is a team that's, I think, 30th in pass rate over expectation. And we saw the combo of their backs just go absolutely nuclear against the Vikings, where we didn't really need to see Penix do much of anything. And because of that, I'm very fearful of starting Penix in even a superflex format, because I think there's a chance we see them just lean on the run again against the Carolina Panthers run defense that has not improved from 2024 when they were dead last in yards per game allowed to the opposing backs. They're still bottom 5 in that category. I think a week after facing the Falcons, they'll be dead last again. We saw Bijan and Algier just go absolutely nuts. I think rinse and repeat. They're here for another big outing here against Carolina, making Penix and the dropbacks just sparse, where we just fantasy's often an opportunity-driven game, and I just don't see them needing to pass a lot. And it's a big reason I just posted my wide receiver DFS article for week 3, focusing on wide receivers to target, and I omitted Drake London because I don't think they're going to have enough volume, despite it being a good matchup.
Right. Tyler Beucher of FG. Last year, Patrick Mahomes won a lot of football games. They won a bunch of games by like 3 points. Mm-hmm. And everyone was hurt all season long, and he just basically willed them to victories. It's only been 2 weeks, so they've started slowly here, okay. But we're seeing more of the same that we saw last year with the receiving core. These guys, well, number one, they can't run the football. They haven't been able to run the football in over a year now, which is a problem. But number two, Worthy's been in and out of the lineup. You know, Hollywood Brown is a limited guy. They obviously don't have Rashee Rice. Jalen Royals has been hurt. Is it going to get better? We just got to wait for Rashee Rice? Like, Mahomes has gone for 55 rushing yards and a touchdown each of the 2 games. So his scoring numbers have been fine in fantasy. But the passing attack is eerily reminiscent of what we saw last season. And that's a concern. Is it?
Yeah, it is a concern. He's currently 27th in catchable throw rate. That's behind Caleb Williams. He's quarterback 19 in completion percentage over expectation. That's behind Spencer Rattler. Like, there are a lot of warts here for a guy that is a perennial MVP candidate. You're right with the rushing productivity. It's bailing out fantasy owners of Mahomes, but man, we just need some life here, a spark. And Hollywood Brown is not it. I'm actually refraining from calling him Hollywood. Let me rephrase. Marquise Brown. He has to earn that Hollywood back.
Right. Agreed.
And man, 16 targets week 1, 5 targets with 5 for 30. This dude was just catching curls and quick little comebacks, and that was it. I mean, there was like a 3rd and 1 drag play where he didn't even he got the completion and didn't even advance it to the 1 yard that was required. I'm just done with this dude. Period. Full stop. And even like Travis Kelce, it's a big reason why I wasn't targeting him. I just don't think there's much juice there. He's gotten super unlucky with 2 dropped touchdowns back-to-back weeks, essentially.
True.
So for maybe there is some positive regression on its way for Kansas City, but I just don't think it really hits until we get like a real needle mover like Rashee Rice back in the fold.
The tight end position has been pretty wild thus far. You mentioned Kelce. There's been guys overperforming and guys underperforming. It's kind of the nature of the beast of the tight end spot. You know, if you don't have one of a couple of guys, you know, 1 week it's 12 points, the other week it's 6. That's just how it goes. Talk to us specifically about what you've seen with Evan Engram. His back is an issue. He didn't practice yesterday. He's, hasn't played the full snap count here the first couple of games. Adam Troutman scored a touchdown. Everyone go look. They didn't cover Adam Troutman on the touchdown. He just ran and waved his hands in the end zone. It wasn't like, he did something wonderful. Troutman's obviously a favorite of Sean Payton, but Engram should be part of this offense. Evan Engram, is there a tight end 1 here, or is it okay to move on already?
I think it's okay to move on, which I feel like people need that push off the ledge. Like, can I drop the guy I drafted? Yeah, we're 2 weeks in. I think there's some clear indicators for several players that I don't mind you dropping in favor of guys like Juwan Johnson, Harold Fannin. Those are like the more chalky waiver wire additions. Right. But beyond that, I mean, even like a Brenton Strange, I'd rather have than Evan Engram right now, who 34% route participation over the last 2 weeks combined. That was a 28% in week 1, 44% in week 2. So it's not like he had a massive leap back in one way or the other between the 2 weeks. Adam Troutman, he's just 10 percentage points behind him in route participation. So maybe we're seeing a bit more of a shared workload because of that injury for Engram. Problem is, it's a back injury. Those things are scary. You never know when they'll come back. So I'm just fully cutting him and moving on. This is a weird year where I feel like principally, like, there's a lot of like sound things that we do year after year. You only take one quarterback. You only take one tight end. But I find myself already contradicting that myself multiple times in my own leagues, and I don't mind not sharing that advice with others because every year is its own snowflake. There's different things that unfold, and right now we're just not getting a lot of these running backs that we typically need to backload our benches. They're just really not necessary at this point, where I think it's okay to just kind of shuffle up our tight ends and mix and match the guys that are actually producing. I don't mind trying to steal some wins here at a position like the tight end where, I mean, the bar's really low. Like, I think 5 points is making people smile and be happy at this point, but if you can get a 10-pointer, I think you're feeling really, really good.
Davis Allen has more points than Dallas Goedert or Colston Loveland, or he's had Colston 2 catches. Loveland. He's caught 2 balls. No, they're touchdowns, but he's caught 2 balls. This question has come up a lot, and I want to ask you specifically because you mentioned I don't carry 2 tight ends. If you, I've said when people have asked, if you have 8 or more bench spots, you can have a second tight end. Otherwise, I don't want to play this game because what happens is we've got Jonnu Smith and Sam Laporta. Who do we go with? We got Kyle Pitts and Dalton Kincaid. Who we go with? And it causes problems. People, I think they just look at the fantasy points allowed last week, and that's the guy they start. In what scenario? Because you mentioned you're doing this a little bit. In what scenario is it okay to have 2 tight ends? And is that going to be the same answer you're going to give once the bye weeks start? Because then it starts getting really difficult to do it.
Yeah, I think it's more of a timetable thing. So I view guys like Juwan Johnson and Harold Fannin as winners right now while they're paired with guys like Spencer Rattler and Joe Flacco, respectively.
Right.
But that's a short-term window. We're not sure when we could see a QB swap. We saw it last week for Cleveland play out. Yep. So I'm okay holding like those types of guys with like So the guy that immediately comes to mind is Mark Andrews, who hasn't done much. People probably drafted him as a top 10 tight end. Right. I did personally. He had a touchdown punched out of his hands last week. Yep. Probably looking at him very differently had he caught that score. That said, I don't mind playing either of those 2 guys that I just mentioned, Fannin or Juwan Johnson, over Andrews. And that's the situation where I am holding it, where knowing that it could be a short-term solution, I can bounce back to Mark Andrews when we move to Tyler Shuck or Dylan Gabriel under center for the Browns and the Saints. So that's kind of the situation I'm looking at. But I guess that could be applied to several different tight ends where they're just not performing really greatly. So if you've got a producer out on the waiver wire, I say go for it. There's a lot of wide receivers people are holding on to, like Josh Palmer at the back end of their bench. I like Palmer a lot, but he's also a dime a dozen type of wide receiver where I don't know if he'll ever be the guy that you'll confidently be putting into a starting lineup until we get to bye weeks.
And remember, too, I want to hit on something you said one more time here before we talk Thursday Night Football. Because a lot of people hear half of what you say and they don't hear the other half. And you correct me if I'm wrong here, Tyler, but what I heard you say is that guys like Fannin and Juwan Johnson were playing now, but when we go to a different quarterback at some point in the season for the Saints and the Browns, a rookie quarterback in both cases. So the idea that people are spending 40% of their budget to add a guy that maybe you only really use for 6 or 7 weeks, that's something that people need to hear. And I don't think enough people are hearing that. They think, I got Juwan Johnson. I'm rolling to 90 catches this year. I don't see that either. Just to hit on that. That's what you said, right?
Yep. And things change quickly. The NFL is not for long acronym. It's very, very apropos. But yeah, for now, I think it's a Band-Aid, but Band-Aids don't last forever.
Talk some Thursday Night Football with Tyler Beucher. We'll have a bet, by the way, in a couple of minutes here. Miami and Buffalo, obviously. I mean, you look at the numbers for Josh Allen against Miami, and it's insane. He's got like 37 touchdown passes in like 16 games. It's just insane. And there's really no reason to think, barring something crazy, that the Bills don't win tonight. But let's talk a little bit about the Dolphins side of things here. Devon Achane is basically a wide receiver 1 who plays running back. He's running back 4, and I mean a 4th running back, not running back 4. He's running back number 4. He's like running back 42, and he's a wide receiver 1. So we're firing him up every week. He's producing points and all that. But this team can't run the football. They didn't run the football last year very well either. They're looking to get Jalen Wright back this week. I mean, they're probably going to have to play catch up here. I don't think they're going to stop the Bills, right? So this is another game where we're going to need those pass catches for a guy like Devon Achane, correct?
Yeah, and I don't think it's going anywhere. Throw in the fact that we've got a banged up Jalen Waddle. I think Achane should be heavily involved in this pass game once again. He's getting very, very strong first read rates, like wide receiver level first read rates. That's just honestly comical, but it's a full PPR format. And for those that are in full PPR format, some of your phrase, Achane is a top end top 5 fantasy asset. Like this guy just has a absurd target share, absurd route participation marks, and now he goes up against a Buffalo Bills defense that plays a lot of too high, so that allows a lot of production underneath. And Achane has the wheels to just rack up the yak. Like we saw it last weekend where there was a sideline play where he just narrowly got bumped out of bounds. Otherwise, could have been like a 70-yard gain just through a quick little outlet pass. This man is just so darn impressive in the pass game where it just really boosts his fantasy production. And keep in mind, targets are worth like 2.5x the value of a carry. So no, he's not going to flirt with 20 carries. But if he gets 7 to 10 targets and catches, I don't know, 6 to 9 of those, which is not an uncommon thing to say, which is ridiculous and ludicrous for most running backs. This guy can still finish very, very high among the running back rankings. So he's like the best play in my eyes if you're looking for like a Dolphins contrarian captain to run in DFS Showdown. Right. Just because when they fall behind, as they inevitably will, as 11.5 point road underdogs, they're going to be leaning on dink and dunks because this line for Miami is putrid.
He's the new Alvin Kamara, right? That's exactly. Yeah. And we rode that train for years. Tyler Beucher, fantasyguru.com. Darren Waller's out again. Hilarious. Whatever, dude. Yeah. You mentioned Waddle in the shoulder. We've got Tyreek Hill. Talk to us a little bit more about the receiving core here, because obviously the offense moved the ball through the air better last week than they did in week 1. Waddle and Hill are a really nice duo. Waddle is beat up. Malik Washington's floating around there. He's somebody that might be on the end of benches, might be on the waiver wire. Talk us basically through those 3 guys and what your thoughts are on this matchup with the Bills.
Yeah, they did a lot better last week, but this is a bit more of a tougher test than what the Patriots offer. Expecting some efficiency dips because, again, too high coverage really limits explosive plays over the top. The problem is the Buffalo Bills also have some weak cornerbacks where they've got Christian Benford and then a bunch of guys injured, which is very unfortunate for a team that wants to have a late postseason run. Hopefully they get the injury bug right now in September, and they're fine by the time December and January roll around. But this is just a defense that schematically is designed to slow down these types of wide receivers specifically. So, man, both these guys, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, see dips in their targets per outrun, their yards per outrun against too high. It just doesn't match up well for them to have the ceiling type of outputs that we sometimes see from them. That said, you never know with Tyreek Hill. On a crossing pattern, he can just shake and bake a safety, and he's off to the races. Nobody's catching him. Even in his age, 31, 32-year-old campaign, this guy can still shake and bake with the best of them. That said, I still believe Buffalo is going to be playing from ahead where the Dolphins will be forced into a passing script. It's just a question of, can Miami sustain drives? They've been among the worst offenses to begin the year in terms of total plays offensively because their defense can't stop anybody. So opponents are dragging out the game on their end, racking up plays, racking up production, limiting Miami's touches offensively. So we're going to need to get hot with an explosive play. And it's just not the matchup for it. It's really just an HM game.
Yeah, they're without the Bills too, Milano and Oliver. That's 2 big losses on the defensive side of thing for the Bills that Tyler was mentioning there too. Tyler Beucher, fantasyguru.com. Let's talk about the Bills side of things. And one of the easiest calls, I think, was that, James Cook's going to be fine. He can be a running back too. Everything's good. But that touchdown rate's going to regress. Come on. He scored 4 touchdowns his first 2 years on the ground. He scored 16 last year. Come on. He's got 3 touchdowns in 2 games. Now, it's 2 games. All right, that's it. But I think it's interesting too. It's not just that he's got those 3 touchdowns in 2 games. It's that his workload is also up. He had 21 carries last week. Routinely was in the 12 to 14 zone last season. He lost like 30 carries from the previous year last year. The touchdowns really buoyed him. He even caught 5 passes in week 1. So that's 18 and 22 touches. That's a huge workload for him. 2 weeks doesn't matter. Did we miss a little bit here? Because again, saying he's running back 14, he ends up being running back 9. It's not a miss, but you think this early season usage is going to continue with him?
Well, I'd also note that a lot of it came last week when they had positive game script on their side and they were just able to lean on him to close out the game. That said, the script kind of is ready to rinse and repeat and do it again here in week 3 on Thursday Night Football against the Dolphins defense that, man, they allow a ton of explosive gains on the ground. Their front 7 is questionable, but James Cook just has the ability to A, rip off explosive plays, and B, force missed tackles, where I think he's squarely in line for another big outing. I'm going to say I missed on this one for sure. He was not a player that I was targeting at all because of the regression. I also thought that this team would also be passing a bit more. That hasn't had to happen yet. So right now, James Cook's dunking on me right now these first opening weeks. Which happens. I also could see a big blowout script where we get a lot more Ray Davis involved in the fourth quarter, maybe perhaps limiting the ceiling outing of James Cook. That said, I still like James Cook's rushing prop. I think you can hit the over on that one because the game script and the matchup all point toward him having a big day here. against the Dolphins defense that, man, they're just not that good.
Tyler Beucher of fantasyguru.com. You mentioned earlier Josh Palmer, and he's part of the receiving crew here. You know, Palmer and Shakir kind of, you know, you can use them, but not really exciting. Coleman, you know, week 1, he had 11 targets. He caught 8 balls. He had a touchdown. And a lot of people, because I saw the questions, and a lot of people thought that they had wide receiver 24 on their hands. Like, they thought they struck gold with Keon Coleman. Maybe. But last week, back to 3 targets. You know, even in week 1, he was stepping out of the end zone on a 2-point conversion. And, you know, what have you seen through 2 games with Keon Coleman, and has it caused you to change what your opinion was on him a month ago?
No, the opinion hasn't changed much, where I've always been a doubter of Coleman's ability. I will say that this is actually a pretty decent matchup for him. Him and Palmer on the outside. The Dolphins play a good amount of cover 1, so that's a single high guy. And then they don't really have the cornerbacks to match up on the outside against these guys one-on-one. So I wouldn't be shocked at all to see either one of these, Coleman or Palmer, hit a big explosive gain down the sideline at some point in this matchup. They're the guys that I really want to pinpoint over a guy like Khalil Shakir, who might have a bit of a more of a when we say less of a matchup upgrade because of the coverage scheme he's facing. That makes sense just inherently with where he runs routes over the middle of the field. But Coleman, I mean, he had a really lucky rebound play for the touchdown. But if we look at like quarters 1 through 3 of that Ravens game, he was not relevant in terms of fantasy production. It really came in that fourth quarter where we saw just, I think Josh Allen threw for like 240 yards in just the fourth quarter alone.
Yeah.
An absurd performance. But a lot of that went to Coleman. So I think there's at least something to hang your hat on where Coleman got a good number of first reads when the pressure was on. Now that the pressure's off, we saw last week what that looks like. And I fear that's probably more likely to stay, where just the volume's just not going to be there, and we're going to have to hope on some explosive plays. The good news is this is a matchup where explosives could occur.
Tyler Beucher of FG. Tyler, you said you had a bet, and you're going to hammer it this week. You know it's going to work. You know positive thinking is going to make it happen. What do you got?
All right. So I've been playing around with a few sports books, and I found a same game parlay. I'm reaching into the Jeff Mann's bag of tricks to get you guys something that I think will hit, because these are all very, very probable legs to come through for us. First one, Bills money line. I mean, come on. They're at home.
Yeah.
Tua cannot perform on the road.
Yeah.
Anytime Josh Allen's been a favorite of a touchdown or more, he's 26-2 straight up. This dude just crushes when he's supposed to. And he's got a fantastic supporting cast. So that's leg 1. Leg 2, Josh Allen 1 passing touchdown. Very low bar here, guys. He's done it in 14 of 14 games against Miami in his career. He's thrown for 2 passing touchdowns in 13 of 14 games. So again, just 1 passing touchdown. Matchup's really great on the outside for either Palmer or Keon Coleman to be one of those recipients. I also think we could see Kincaid or Knox be one of those guys too. Third leg, pardon me, Josh Allen under 0.5 interceptions. This guy just does not turn the ball over as of late. Early in his career, he was a gambler. But as of late, he's really turned it around. He's played much more conservatively, and he's been fantastic. He has not thrown an interception in 17 of his last 22 games. And the Dolphins' pass defense, I mean, we just saw Drake May look like a fantastic fantasy footballer. We saw Daniel Jones look like it the week before. They're 30th in completion percentage over expectation, plus 9%. They're 32nd in defensive pass success rate, 32nd in EPA per dropback. This is a defense that I don't imagine is going to create a bunch of turnovers and noise on the back end. Add in the fact that the Bills are massive favorites and that there's probably less of a need for Allen to throw in the second half, where just the risk and the volatility is not there, where I like all these 3 legs coming together. We're looking at Bills money line, Josh Allen 1+ touchdown, and Josh Allen under 0.5 interceptions. On DraftKings, that's minus 120 odds. So I like that for a full unit play. I think we're going to get back on the board here with a high percentage look.
And again, you're part of the crew that does the weekly betting lines over at fantasyguru.com. And I hinted at this, and I'll throw it up on the screen as I ask you the following question. We do have a 2-for-1 offer right now. If I could figure out how to use my screen. There we go. You buy the DFS, get the wagering for free. Buy the wagering, get the DFS for free. How many bets do you normally put out in a week? What's the general area zone for you, Tyler?
I have used to be a real sicko with it, where I try to put out like 30 or some plays. I've dialed
Right.
that back to about 20, which
Okay.
is still a lot, and I admit that's a lot. The problem is I find so many lines that I find exploitable where I've consistently found props a very easy path to production in terms of like making money week after week. Where it's just when I see a play that I think is very exploitable, I'll attack it. And I feel like anytime I don't do it, it's leaving money on the board. Fantasy football just football in general is just such a short-lived sport relative to how many games we get with baseball, how many games we get with hockey, how many games we get with almost every other sport aside from football. So when we've got our limited window to hit these bets, I'm trying to go out there with some volume. I hope you guys join us over at Fantasy Guru. We've had winning years year after year after year ever since I've been with you guys. The betting program has just been fantastic. I don't know what else to say. Just a boatload of units year after year. So hope you guys join us and make some money.
Yeah, as you can see there on screen again, remember, you buy one, you get the other for free. Send a note to support at fantasyguru.com. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Just add both to your cart. It'll take the discount away once you actually go to pay. Check that out over at fantasyguru.com. Couple questions before we shut things down here. Tyler, we got a question from Garrett. I don't know why we were trading a top 5 running back for another top 5 running back. Jonathan Taylor for Bijan Robinson. To me, it's like they're the same guy, kind of whatever. Garrett says, I have Daniel Jones and Drake London. I don't want quarterback, running back. I'd rather have quarterback, wide receiver, obviously. So what do you do here? If we keep Bijan, we got 2 Falcons in here, which I don't like either, because then it's running back, wide receiver, the same team. This is just a mess to me. This doesn't seem like the right fit to me. I don't want Daniel Jones in running back, because I'm always afraid of people are in love with Daniel Jones and forgotten the last 3 years, which is hilarious. It's a fair trade, Taylor for Bijan, but given the team that Garrett has, I don't know if it's something I would do. What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't either. This doesn't seem like the right play for the exact reasons you laid out. I think you just described that perfectly, Ray, where I don't really have anything else to add aside from don't do it.
Okay. Tony D. Diggs or Pittman? We were just talking about the Colts. Pittman or Diggs for PPR? Well, we're already starting Drake May. Again, and I'll ask a follow-up. Go ahead, answer this question first.
Sure. Diggs has been slow to start this year. I mean, he's been kind of eased back into action, but I think it's a pretty good matchup here against Pittsburgh Steelers, who, man, they've just fallen off. They do not look like themselves. The problem is Diggs is probably going to run a good amount against Jalen Ramsey, where I think they could slow him down. You can also argue Pittman's going to run a good amount against L'Jarius Sneed, which is not a good matchup either for him. So neither of these guys are exactly players I'm excited to start this week, but man, I kind of want to go Pittman just based on the volume that he's seen and the fact that Diggs isn't quite clearly at 100% yet.
We see Tony asking, this question with the follow-up. I've got Drake May, obviously May and Diggs, the quarterback receiver combo. Angela's also got a question here. How do stacks increase points? Tyler, what is a stack and is it advisable? Because to me, I don't target this. I know best ball is different. In a seasonal format, I've never targeted quarterback, wide receiver, because if one of the 2 guys goes down, the quarterback oftentimes doesn't lead to very good stuff, right? So I don't target this. If it happens, it's okay. You don't want to do the wide receiver and the running back on the same team. But do stacks increase points? Talk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, just think about the correlation of when the wide receiver scores a touchdown, that's coming from the quarterback who's throwing that touchdown, so you're getting points on both ends. You're double dipping there. I typically only would ever do this with guys that I view as like top 5 target earners, guys that I believe are going to make up a massive percentage of the quarterback's production week in and week out. I did it with CeeDee Lamb and Dak this year specifically because I think Lamb is just another worldly wide receiver, and a healthy Dak is a guy that has the ability to put up a top 8 fantasy campaign any given year. So I would really be limiting the number of options that you could even do this with. But that's really what it is. You're just really trying to correlate your plays where it's fewer things for you to get right. And if you get the Cowboys offense to go off this year, you're putting up a lot of points between that Dak and Lamb combo week in and week out. The problem is a 2-touchdown outing from Javonte Williams on the ground can lead to you having a subpar performance. So there is some downside to it. But in a game where we're trying to find ceilings and possibly first place versus everything else, I'm okay doing it. I'm very selective though when I do it.
How wild is it, by the way, as I'm looking at this? Everyone, I'm going to ask a question and answer it immediately. Who leads the NFL through 2 weeks in passing attempts?
Josh Allen?
No. Joe Flacco and Bryce Young. How crazy is that? They both have thrown 90 pounds. Bryce Young?
He had 55 last week.
Yeah,
that was
that
insane.
helps.
His 59 dropbacks were the most he's ever had in a career.
Yeah.
In his career, pardon me. And then Flacco is just we hit it on the betting package. Flacco over pass attempts because it's just been a money printer. These last 2 years, 2023 and 2024, and now we go into 2025. Flacco's averaging over 40 attempts per game. That's unreal. Last year, Joe Burrow led the league with 38.4 attempts per game. Flacco's just on another level.
Bryce Young, by the way, who leads the league, he's tied with Flacco for pass attempts. He's 29th in completion percentage. Maybe you don't want to throw the ball that much. Maybe. A question here from Keith. And the answer, yes. And this is something we deal with. People build good teams. They're in shallow leagues. I think you can make the case that both Warren and Etienne are top 25 running backs most weeks right now. And then you can make the case, same thing with James Conner. Deebo Samuel, we may or may not get Jay Daniels, but he's still a wide receiver 3 in my opinion, even if it's Marcus Mariota. I don't think there's an obvious let's get rid of this guy. But if you had to choose 2 between Conner, Etienne, Deebo, and Jalen Warren, which would the 2 be, Tyler?
It's a good question. My inclination is to go with Etienne and Deebo right now, but I will admit it's tough matchups for Conner against a Niners run defense that does really well against man gap blocking. That's what the Cardinals run. They run man gap at the highest rate in the league. San Francisco has limited them to under 3 yards per carry when opponents have lined up in that. Etienne going up against the Texans, not a great matchup either on the ground. Their run defense has done really well, limiting opposing backs in back-to-back weeks. But the explosive play of Etienne is why I'm hanging my hat on him. I just think there's a chance that we see a good amount of productivity from him. And then Deebo, I just like the matchup here against the Raiders, who I still question their secondary. We saw Monday night.
Tyler Beucher, fantasyguru.com, joins us every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We go a half hour-ish with a little extra today for you. If you want more of his analysis, you can catch him on live streams in the Discord. You can read his articles, podcasts from the preseason. He just jumps on with Armando Marsal sometimes as well doing the podcast. Go to fantasyguru.com, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner, send that note to support at fantasyguru.com. You can still get the seasonal package. You can see it on the screen there. If you want to get the DFS and the wagering package, get 2 for 1. We just offered that. So you get 2 for 1, 50% off. So head over there right now, get signed up, get all of Tyler's work. You don't want to miss any of it as he helps lead you to a championship in 2025. Tyler, thanks for your time today. We will talk to you 7 days from now. Have a good weekend.
All right, thanks. Have a good weekend, and good luck to everyone this Thursday Night Football.
He's Tyler. I'm Ray. We'll be back here tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'll go about a half hour baseball, and then at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, we'll visit with Russell Clay and talk some football. For Tyler, I'm Ray. We're out. It's Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.